Johnson, a firefighter in this film. And one of the main things I remember about 9/11 was, I have friends and family in that area. I found out after the event that my cousin's children were in a daycare center that had to be evacuated from ground zero that day. And we spent weeks trying to get a hold of a friend who was a neurosurgeon. He hadn't gone home for a week and a half after the event, staying in the hospital, taking care of people as best he could.
I'm Anna Vosburg. I am the makeup artist, and I also play the sketch artist in the first scene. I remember went to an indoor swimming pool with my mom and my grandmom. My grandmom's gone now, and my son, who was 3 at the time. And we got home in the morning, and my father, who doesn't talk a lot, he wouldn't bring anything up unless it was extremely important, and he would use as few words as possible. We walked in the door and he said, plane just hit the Twin Towers. So we knew that it was something big, just because of the fact that he said anything at all. And we turned on the TV, and we were just amazed like everybody else. It was horrible.
I am Michelle Hughes Pride. I am an extra in this film, Hollow, and I've been with Scumberland Productions since the inception.
That sounds so
dirty.
Like
that word, inception. Anyway, my 9/11 remembering 9/11 for me. I used to work for Merrill Lynch, which is a big part of the financial district in where the World Trade Center is and everything. I didn't work there, but I worked with a lot of people that had worked there. And when the planes hit the building and the announcement was made that we're under attack, everybody was worried that their ex-co-workers, friends, family, whatever, that was still either living in New York or working in those buildings, they were worried that if they were still alive. So I remember working that day. Actually, it wasn't working anymore. We were all just standing around watching a television set, trying to use our cell phones, trying to get on the internet, get any kind of news whatsoever, not getting anywhere. But everybody just worried, but it was like dead silence, everybody watching TV. And then there was a feeling of needing to be with family, so they sent everybody home, which was the only thing to do because we were working off the Merrill Lynch system. The Merrill Lynch system was down because it's right there in the financial center. So we were down for a whole week, so there was nothing to do anyway but send us home to be with family.
I'm Robert A. Geis. I play Tommy Corrigan in Hollow. My experience is that I woke up to my partner, John, sort of smacking the mattress of the bed, telling me to wake up because they were bombing New York and they were bombing Washington. And I knew I wasn't dreaming, but I wasn't sure what he was talking about, so I immediately got up and went downstairs and put the TV on. And of course, that's where every station had it on. Didn't matter what channel it was on. It was on every channel. And I remember mostly being infuriated with Dan Rather because as there was an aerial view of the towers, or what should I say at that point, tower, just sort of going around, and I hear him say, wait, we just got reports that one of the towers may have partially collapsed. And I'm thinking, Dan, it's gone. It is gone. And it wasn't that much longer before the other one went.
Frank Thon, I play Johnny on the movie Hollow, and my recollections of 9/11, in the beginning, we thought maybe who would fly there, because it was originally said a Cessna plane into one of the biggest buildings in New York City. How could they do that? And it was mass confusion why, and didn't actually see the hole in the building, but as time went on, we realized that we were under attack, and my thoughts were, with all the diesel fuel from both jets, these buildings, when they collapse, they're going to probably fall over and wipe out half the city, with all the steel and the metal. But for God to be able to keep them two buildings straight up as they fall, it took a lot of work. So even though it was the worst disaster in my history, I thank God it wasn't even worse, landing on all the buildings and the people around. There could have been 50,000 more deaths, and it must have been pretty hard for them buildings to go straight down like that.
Hi, my name is Jenna Wolfe, and I play the character of Lisa Alcamo. And on the day of 9/11, I was at work when I found out, and the whole office basically stopped working to learn more about the situation. And at that time, my mother and my now husband were both visiting people in California, and that really scared the heck out of me, because flights were canceled and I didn't want them to even take a flight. I was looking for trains, buses, anything. I even had to stay with my mother-in-law outside of Philadelphia just to be on the safe side. So I'm glad that my mom and my now husband came back safe and sound, and I wish other people could have been as fortunate.
My name is Richard Leswing. I'm a volunteer fireman. I'll be playing the part of a fireman picking up a fallen pedestrian in the stairwell. My thing about 9/11 was I was actually there that day, and it was probably the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I wouldn't want anyone to ever see that again. I wouldn't even want my children to see that. It's just nightmares, repetitive, and nothing I just want to talk about really anymore.
Yeah, my name is OMara. I'm an extra, and I'm also working etc. crew, like miscellaneous crew. Okay. Back in 2001, I was working as a karaoke jockey, and the day after 9/11 was the day we would normally go in to start our work week, and I wasn't sure if they would even want to have us come in to do karaoke. Who would want to do something that mindless when this has happened to our country? But I called the bar, and the bartender, John, who was the owner, said, well, we're here, we know people need to get out of the house. I don't care if it's just you and Al, who is my karaoke partner, and myself. I need to hear the music tonight. I need to hear something. So we went out, and we started the night with a huge packed crowd who certainly did need the unity and the camaraderie of their fellow Americans. And Al, who was my karaoke partner, he was originally from Brooklyn, so he opened the night with singing A New York State of Mind. And throughout the night we were all singing songs about New York, songs about America. Never a dry eye in the house, but the best moment was when we played Kate Smith singing God Bless America. And when I say we all held hands around the bar and sang along, I mean we all held hands and sang around the bar, an entire packed house. And I don't wish for something that terrible to happen to America again, but I do wish that we could all feel that unity again as Americans, because that 6 weeks afterwards, everybody was so polite to each other. You said thank you, you said please, you said how are you, and you really meant it. So let's remember what it felt like to be Americans again.